The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Hello, folks. You are tuned in to another edition of P.P. Simmons Radio. Your host, Carl Gallups, this afternoon. My special guest this afternoon is Mike Zullo, the lead investigator of the Sheriff Arpaio cold case posse Obama fraud case. Mike Zullo, welcome to P.P. Simmons Radio. Thanks for joining us today.
Carl, how are you? Good to talk to you today.
Doing great. God bless you. Listen, let's move this along. We've got a lot of things that have been happening. We've got some forward progress, some forward movement. Tell the folks about tell them what you can. I know in some cases you can't give names yet, and in other cases you can. But just in the last day or two and in the last week or so, we've moved this closer and closer, or you have moved it closer and closer to a potential congressional investigation. Tell the folks about that.
Yeah, Carl, I think you and I spoke, and over the 4th of July holiday weekend, I was asked to go back to D.C. and met with some, let's be honest about it. I met with some Congress people, and there is interest in moving this forward. And as this starts to unfold now, we are getting inquiries from people that not necessarily are involved in Congress, but have some very, very tight political affiliations. And the interest we're getting now are from some very prominent people. If I gave the names, everybody would recognize those names. I'm not going to do that, obviously. But they're asking to be briefed, and they're asking, what can we do to help? So this process is moving forward. It's moving along. You know, from my perspective, it's moving quite rapidly. I know from your listeners, because you've been on this for 6 years, it seems like an eternity. But from an investigational standpoint, this really is moving quite rapidly.
No, yes, it really is, Mike, and I do understand that because you have been involved in it at an investigative level for about 2 years. And, of course, as soon as you guys came to your findings, you did press conference after press conference, and the mainstream media, of course, we know the history behind that. They kind of shut the thing down. So you guys kind of hit a roadblock as far as moving it forward, but just in the last 4 or 5 months, or even less perhaps, it has jumped forward. And so you see it from that perspective, that even though it's been a long haul overall, considering what you've been through, you've only been involved for 2 years, and in the last 4 months, it has moved forward to the point of you've been to Washington several times, you've been to Capitol Hill several times, you're in and out of Congress people's office, you've got Congressman Steve Stockman who's asked you to come in, you've got these other VIPs and one that you just mentioned that I know who it is and we can't say, but just a huge VIP who has inroads into the White House as well as Congressional Hill. So, I mean, really, there has been some huge forward movement, right?
There really has been, and it's happening in such a way now. It's coming from unexpected places, and that's actually intriguing to me. I mean, it's coming in now. The requests are being made to us. We're not going out there and soliciting them.
Yes. No, I know they are, Mike. And as a matter of fact, what you're doing, since this is happening so quickly from your point of reference, but, to the average Joe sitting out there just kind of trying to keep up with the news, and there's so precious few places where people can be informed on this, they just feel like it's a slow, dragging grind. But what you're going to ask people, it's my understanding, you're asking people to still exercise patience because we're running into the end of the year and holidays and congressional recesses, and not only that, but you're dealing with various individuals now, and you're trying to lock and tie everything into their schedules. Plus, I understand you're trying to get some of these people together so that we can move this thing forward in a unified fashion. And all of that is happening, but it's taking a while. So what would be your message to folks?
Well, just what you said, just exercise a little patience and understand that now we get involved in scheduling conflicts, scheduling difficulties. People that we're talking to have very, very limited discretionary time, if you will. And we are trying to accommodate that. I mean, if any indication, leaving 4th of July weekend on the spur of the moment to get back to Washington. I'm trying to make it happen as fast as we can make it happen, Carl.
Right. I know you are, and I will join with you and ask people to be patient. I know that if you and I could make it happen in the next couple of days, if we could snap our fingers and make that happen, we would. But we've got to work through the process. We're connecting with people who can make something happen, and we just simply have to abide by their schedules, and that's what's happening. So anyway, thank you for that. But let me move this along. So why why in the world, Mike Zullo, does the man in the White House, the commander-in-chief, the man who purports to be president, the man who has the title of POTUS, P-O-T-U-S, President of the United States, what is he doing in possession of a 100% criminally verified forged document as his only identifying document?
If I could answer that question, I'd probably get my own television show, Carl. I think the notion that the President of the United States not only would have possession, to put it that way, to have possession of this kind of document, but to know the controversy around it, know that there's a law enforcement investigation, and do nothing to try to remedy this is just mind-boggling, especially given the fact that under Title 18 of the United States Criminal Code, it makes it very clear anyone knowingly, without lawful authority, produces an identification document or false identification document is guilty of a criminal offense.
Yeah.
Just the transference of that document, the mere possession of that document, and you're talking about offenses that range anywhere from 1 to 20 years of imprisonment. I mean, this is insane.
Right.
And
it truly is a criminal matter. I mean, this is not just some little birther matter of people sitting around wondering where he was born. I mean, we may get to the bottom of that one day, but the bottom line is what you're dealing with is a criminal matter of a forged and fabricated document in the possession of the president who has proffered it to the world as his identifying document.
That's correct. And in that statute, it actually specifies a birth certificate or a driver's license or a personal identification card. I mean, it goes right into the heart of this matter. And to have a document like that, to proffer a document like that, and not seek to remedy a document like that, I mean, look, let's face it, there's a conspiracy here now. This is no longer a theory. And the fact is going to be somebody created it for this purpose, this intent, and they delivered it to the White House, and the president is calling it his.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Well, listen, I did an interview this last week, and I was talking with a host on the West Coast. She's a syndicated talk show host, and I brought up a scenario that basically freaked her out, and I know her audience as well. You and I have talked about this. Now you have intimate knowledge about some of what I'm getting ready to say. You have stuff even in your criminal investigation that you cannot reveal, so I'm not going to ask you to do that. So I'm just going to broach this subject generally, and then you address it generally and as detailed as you can. But I'm just going to ask hypothetically. I know you kind of know the answers to it, but for our audience sake, Mike, how come that a president, Barack Obama, who's supposed to be America's first black president, who's supposed to be this iconic figure in America, and let's face it, supposed to be an iconic world figure. I mean, he's a Nobel Peace Prize winner and hailed all over the world as this great, peacemaker and achiever in the Muslim world, and on and on and on. But America's first black president, and that's a big deal, Mike. That is a big deal. How is it that this iconic figure in American history and in world history, not a single hospital anywhere in the world, much less in the United States, officially claims their hospital as the place of birth for this iconic figure? Now, to make it worse, Mike, there's not a single monument erected anywhere. There's not a plaque erected anywhere to his birth in a hospital. There's not a single hospital that will bring forth any documentation to say, yes, here is where he was born. And what makes it worse is that he it's on his birth certificate that he held up to the world that he was born in Kapiolani Hospital in Honolulu. Yet Kapiolani Hospital will not turn over any records. They will not admit you putting their integrity on the line that he was born there. They will not erect a monument. They will not put up a plaque. I mean, Mike, you and I went to George Washington's Mount Vernon home. I mean, we went to the bed where he died. We know where George Washington was born. We know where almost all the presidents were born. The presidents in our lifetime. We know the hospitals, their homes, there's monuments, there's plaques. We know everything about him. But this guy, we can't get a hospital anywhere to say he was born here. Here's the records. Here's a monument. We claim him. Mike, why do you think that might be?
Because it never happened. I really believe it never happened. And I think if you look at Kapolani Medical Center, what they're doing now is running for cover. And after this controversy ignited, they came out with statements saying, we don't retain records past 25 years of age now. So now they're going to use this that we most likely destroyed them. But there's never any proof.
Yeah.
There has been no proof. And the other shocking fact is the apartment complex where Mr. Obama resided with his grandparents, the same address that's on that Selective Service card, they have a shrine built to the president inside the lobby of a hotel, of an apartment complex.
Yeah.
But you can't, like you said, find it in any medical facility.
Yeah, anywhere in the world. And if Kapiolani will not claim him, then there is no other place that has even come close to claiming him. There is no other place which he has officially claimed. I mean, that's it. And Kapiolani will not claim him. So, I mean, how bizarre is that? I mean, this iconic world figure, and the hospital will not claim that he was born there.
Well, make it even worse, Queens Medical Center actually renounced that birth narrative.
Yeah.
It didn't happen there. They're certain it didn't happen there.
Right.
So at least we have one of the two hospitals has already said, don't come looking to us.
Right. Well, see,
because it's not here.
Yeah, hospitals have to live on long after presidents are gone, and they have to live on their integrity. They have to live on their reputation, and so I agree with you. The reason Kapiolani won't put their integrity on the line is because it did not happen there. If it didn't happen at Queens, if it didn't happen at Kapiolani, and Kapiolani is on his birth certificate, then where did it happen? And the only answer is somewhere else. But if it happened somewhere else, why did the president lie about it? And why is it on that birth certificate? Well, we know why, because it's forged. And where else did it happen? If it didn't happen anywhere in the United States, that means it happened somewhere outside the United States, which means he's not even a U.S. citizen.
Well, or it could have happened in another state in the United States, but they've never disclosed it for whatever reason. But it still doesn't alter the fact that this is a fictitious document, and this document is filled with deception. I mean, this birth certificate now could be classified as a weapon of mass deception.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. They have tried to use this to deceive the entire nation.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So we have what appears to be an illegitimate document propping up an illegitimate president, perhaps in an illegitimate administration. I mean, this is just bizarre. No hospital will claim him. There's no state. By the way, the state of Hawaii has yet to officially claim him, in that they have never turned over any verifiable records to prove that he's from there, and the state of Hawaii has not erected a monument or a plaque in his honor as well.
That's a true fact. That's a true fact. And like I said earlier in a lot of other interviews, I believe the state of Hawaii is in this up to their eyeballs.
Yeah, it looks like it. Listen, we've only got a minute. Tell folks how they can donate to the Cold Case Posse, because this is all taxpayer free. I mean, this is all done on donations, and we're getting so closer than ever. Tell folks how they can donate.
We have a donate page on our website, and that's www.mcsoccp.org. mcsoccp.org. You could go there. You know, a $5 donation helps us tremendously.
Good, and I'm going to encourage our listeners to please donate to this, especially as we're moving closer. Mike, we've got 30 seconds. Let me thank you for being on the show, and let me just reaffirm to our listeners that there are plans in the works to move this to a congressional investigation. You're not at liberty to divulge those plans, but you are continually, just in the last couple of days and in the last week, still meeting with very important government officials, very important people in America who have connections to Congress, who can move this thing forward. And thank you so much for verifying that for us. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for what you're doing, and we're praying for you. God bless you, Mike.
Thank you, Carl, for all your help. Have a great day.
All right, you as well. Well, folks, you've been listening to P.P. Simmons Radio. Your host, Carl Gallups. Mike Zullo, our guest today on the very latest in the Obama fraud case.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.